While in India, we are busy with our upcoming state elections and we are worried about who is going to win the T20 Cricket Men's World Cup, our fellow Indians in Dubai and other Gulf states are in a state of shock now. Exactly a day after Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi returned to New Delhi last Friday, after concluding his two-day historic visit to Israel, on Saturday, the US President Donald Trump announced the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei after the US and Israel jointly launched a pre-dawn assault on the country of Iran. Iranian state media too later confirmed the death of its supreme leader. On the fateful Saturday, Iran responded by firing missiles at Israel as well as at US bases across the Gulf region in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and Jordan, sending ripples across the Gulf and the Middle East. Missile and drone strikes on Dubai and Abu Dhabi were particularly severe. In this video, we will look at how Dubai, the city of dreams, is losing its status as the world's safest city after the Iranian attack and what it means for the millions of Indians and the Indian diaspora in the UAE. Hi, hello, vanakkam, namaskar. Welcome to POV World from Bharat YouTube channel, World Through Bharat's Lens. Dubai, the city of dreams. The United Arab Emirates includes 7 emirates, namely the capital Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah and Fujairah. Dubai is often called the city of dreams, a place where people from all over the world come with big hopes and dreams to earn more, build businesses, live comfortably and change their lives. It is a city that rose from desert sand to shining skyscrapers in just a few decades. We can see tall buildings, luxury cars, huge malls, clean roads and people speaking many different languages in Dubai. For many workers and entrepreneurs, Dubai feels like a fast track to success. For Indians, Dubai has been one of the first foreign cities to think of when they dream of going abroad. As of recent estimates, there are about 4 million Indian expatriates living in the UAE. These people make up roughly 35% of the UAE's total population, meaning around 1 in every 3 people there in UAE is an Indian. Among the Indian community in the UAE, about 35% are from the state of Kerala alone, which roughly means around 1.4 million Malayalis are currently living and working in the UAE. From construction workers in the 1990s to today's IT professionals, bankers, influencers and business owners, Dubai has been a stepping stone to financial freedom and growth for many Indians. Also, United Arab Emirates is the second largest source of foreign remittances to India, just next to the US. In the year 2023, Indians working in the UAE sent approximately 1.8 lakh crore Indian rupees back to India in remittances alone. This accounted for about 18% of India's total remittances from abroad that year. These funds through remittances help support household expenses, healthcare, education, savings and investments back in India. Before the global financial crisis in 2008, Dubai was in a hyper growth mode. Massive real estate projects, easy credit and foreign investment turned the city into a global construction hub. Property prices were soaring and government-backed developers were launching mega projects almost every month. Construction, real estate, banking and hospitality were hiring aggressively. Expats poured in, Salaries were high and job mobility was super strong. The mood was confident in Dubai, almost unstoppable. On the other end, luxury tourism was booming in Dubai. Iconic attractions like the Burj Al Arab and the Palm Jumeirah, that is the palm-shaped islands, marketed Dubai as a futuristic city and a playground for the rich. Visitor numbers were rising sharply year after year. But after the 2008 financial crisis, Dubai went on from being an unstoppable boom city to facing one of the toughest financial crises in its history. Real estate developers like Dubai World and Nakheel faced severe debt problems too. Thousands of expats, especially in the field of construction and finance, lost their jobs. Many had to leave the country immediately. Unfinished buildings and abandoned cars at airports became the symbols of the financial crisis in Dubai. Though the crisis made the city more cautious, diversified and financially disciplined in the years that followed, it was actually losing its initial charm all the way along. Now, let's look at how the USA became UAE's main security guarantor. Before 1971, the Gulf region was under British protection. When Britain withdrew its forces, the newly independent states like the UAE suddenly needed a strong security partner. The region was strategically sensitive and close to oil routes and near larger powers like Iran and Iraq. The US, which was already expanding its influence in the Gulf that time, gradually stepped in as the main external security guarantor for the UAE. The 1979 Iranian Revolution and the 1990-91 Gulf War, where Iraq invaded Kuwait, the US led a coalition to defend the Gulf states. These crises convinced the UAE that the US military presence was essential to deter any regional aggression. Over time, the UAE became one of the largest buyers of the US defense equipment in the region. And this is the story of most of the Gulf states like Qatar, Bahrain and Kuwait too. Today, the USA has its military bases across the Gulf region, like the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which is the largest US military base in the Middle East, the Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, which is located near Abu Dhabi, the Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait, the Naval Support Activity Bahrain in Bahrain, which is the headquarters of the US Navy's 5th Fleet, and the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. After the death of its supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei last week, Iran retaliated by striking American assets in the Gulf region, as Iran cannot attack the American territory easily. By doing so, Iran was trying to punish the US and deter further strikes. And on 28 February 2026, Iran's Revolutionary Guards launched hundreds of ballistic missiles, drones, and unmanned aerial vehicles towards the Gulf states. Among the main targets were Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the cities that had long been the symbols of peace and prosperity. Hundreds of projectiles were fired at the UAE airspace by Iran. The UAE air defense systems scrambled, intercepting most missiles and drones, turning the skies above the iconic skyscrapers into thunderous battlegrounds. Even though most threats were shot down, the falling debris told a terrifying story. Fragments struck residential areas, injuring civilians and even killing people in the UAE. At the Zayed International Airport in Abu Dhabi, the debris caused explosions and chaos. In Dubai, the falling debris triggered fires at key sites like the Jebel Ali port, and the mighty Burj Al Arab hotel was seen amid clouds of black smoke. In the Palm Jumeirah area, which is the palm tree-shaped artificial archipelago in Dubai, A drone strike caused a fire near a hotel. A normal life in Dubai snapped into wartime mode almost instantly. Airspace over the UAE was closed to civilian flights and residents were advised to stay indoors. Dozens of UAE residents were wounded as a result of the flying debris and direct hits. These people were not soldiers on distant battlefields, but men, women, and children from around the world living and working in Dubai, in a city what had once been one of the safest cities on earth. Iranian attacks are continuing now as we speak, and it is escalating to US embassies in the cities like Riyadh and Dubai, and also to the oil refineries in Saudi Arabia. Reports of shelves at the supermarkets in the UAE going empty are being surfaced as the UAE residents are stockpiling their provisions and groceries out of fear and uncertainty. Also, in the coming days, Iran is expected to continue its surprise attacks on the Gulf cities and their oil assets as Iran is getting aggressive by the day. The US is now talking about evacuating its citizens from the danger zones in the Gulf. But what would be the fate of millions of other foreign nationals in the region? Their lives are now being put under risk for some other nation's war. As far as flight operations are concerned, flights from and to the Gulf states have been suspended since the Iranian attack. At the Dubai International Airport, which is the world's busiest airport for international travelers, the flight operations remain suspended until further notice, and authorities have not set a specific timeline for reopening. Thousands of flights are being cancelled around the world as the world faces the worst travel chaos since the COVID crisis, and hundreds of thousands of passengers remain stranded in various airports across the world due to this Middle Eastern crisis. Dubai's peace and prosperity built on openness and connectivity have been shaken by a distant war that has reached its skies and economy. Dubai did not start this US-Iran war, but it is now bearing the fallout. For a city which is just making its comeback from major crises like the 2008 recession and the COVID crisis, the current Iranian attacks come as another severe blow. The longer the conflict continues, the heavier the cost for the ordinary businesses and the workers who depend on Dubai's economic engine. Let's hope and pray that our fellow Indians in the UAE and the Gulf states come out of this crisis safe and sound.